Okay, so playing a little bit through Vice City as we've been exploring, the question remains for a lot of people who see this, am I going to continue the playthrough with this? My answer is unfortunately going to be no. Reason for all this, one, there's a lot of triggers in this game that will not activate. For example, if you go back on our first or second playthrough, we went to this phone and it would not let us answer it. I appreciate that they remastered that or remade the game. The problem is during the process there was a lot that was took out. There was a lot that took away from the game because for those who played the original, then one, some of those fence blockers were not up there in the game. You know that you could have went to the other island, was able to explore, and some certain parts of the missions were unfortunately took out. Were unfortunately took out. Some areas just been completely blocked off for whatever purposes. A lot of it's been pretty much cut, if not trimmed. Even with some of the mechanics still feel clunky. You know what I'm saying? It felt like it was just too clunky right now. And most of the aiming mechanisms for me felt off. So mechanic wise, it felt very, very much off, which is just not good. It felt like a lot of the cheats were pretty much deactivated. Endless. Certain parts of the controls when it came to certain missions were definitely gone. And I would even go as far as to say there was a big mislead, which I'll be back here in a second to finish that. Okay, I'm back. So, another thing, like I was saying, that was a big mislead to sell this game was to, like, hey, we get to make Tommy Vercetti to be able to swim. You see, we got some sharks right there, fishes, and everything. But that's why a lot of players like me at this age, oh man, we get to swim. Well, as soon as you go in, he dies. He still dies. He still dies. So that was a very big mislead of this game. It was a complete lie. Call it for what it is, you know? Another thing, trying to be able to commit, when being able to commit crimes, right? There would usually be a lot of cops swarming you already. A lot of the SWAT team. And within that short amount of time, you should have been swatted with all 4 stars. In other words, you would have a lot of the military copters, tanks, shooting at you, coming after you. No doubt about that. Just like in the original. But with this re-release, remastered, remake, so much has gotten removed that, was it worth it? No. Was it really worth it? Is the question that I think all of us need to ask. And I'm not going to know an answer yet until we play and get to San Andreas. Until we play a lot of San Andreas, some of the weapons choices could have been added in. What I mean by weapons choices is that they could have added a lot more choices in for what's on the shelf to be able to choose from. Like, this gates and stuff were never here. You could have just drove and drove and drove and drove and drove. One cheat that they did remove was being able to spawn in a boat. That's another cheat that's gotten removed because a lot of people of the younger audience who played this game, because they weren't born, they weren't alive yet to witness when this first came out, there was a lot more. And a lot of it has trouble spawning in a lot of different things. There is, unfortunately, a lot of just kinks that need to be fixed. I don't know if those kinks or ever will get fixed. Now, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I'm not the one who developed the game. It makes me think of what other changes and stuff a lot of people overlooked when playing this game, because I know everybody touches up on the big stuff and everything, but who knows? And I'm curious, if you try to go to the other part of San Andreas, right, are you going to get shot at by invisible snipers, Or did they remove that? That is one of the questions we have to ask ourselves. And right now, for me, for Vice City being remastered if it's on its own, and if it would still be the same, I would have to say no. It's not that well worth it. It's just not that well worth it, in my own opinion. Unfortunately. But with that being said, hey, I'm out. Peace. And we are going to check out San Andreas.